Transformers has been a movie series that has been around for 10 years as of this video's release. That means since 2007 we've been exposed to 5 Transformers movies, each seemingly bigger than the last. But curiously enough, instead of people clamoring to watch new movies and anticipating what comes next, the last night's domestic box office gross for its first week has been the lowest it's ever been, at a measly average of $23.8 million, and this may sound like a lot of money, but compared to the first film, it's nothing, as the 2007 feature collected $84.9 million its first week. The fourth film, Age of Extinction, collected $138.3 million its first week. Now why did this happen? First and foremost, Wonder Woman and Cars 3 both came out the same month, and Wonder Woman surprisingly turned out to be solid, raking in a lot of revenue that could have been Dreamworks for the taking. And also these movies were never very good to begin with only the first being worthy enough to be called cohesive. The rest have been truly messy with very little direction, but for some people, including myself, they were amusing distractions. But something changed with the fifth. There was a part of me that knew something felt off about it, and I didn't know whether or not it had to do with the constant expository sequences or its inconsequential battles. Maybe it's the movie's fault. Maybe it's us. Maybe it's both. Now let's take a look at film in general here. In all forms of media, various genres become commodity for quite some time. Take westerns, for example, being the craze during the 1900s. During World War I and II, westerns were used in a way to show what every American needed to see. A hero clashing, winning against a villain, and saving defenseless settlements in the process. Westerns evolved during the Great Depression, as American exceptionalism came under question. When people needed someone to look up to and to prove their nobility, the cowboy hero was there, becoming darker and grittier than the norm. Now, during these modern times, the superhero genre has become the craze, and it is yet to be seen if it will die off like westerns. And just like westerns, they have evolved. From simple origin stories that eventually lead to sequels, Marvel Studios breathed new life into the superhero movie genre with their cinematic universe. And this is not the first time we've seen a cinematic universe. Star Wars and Star Trek have done this in the past, but that's for another video. The repercussions of Marvel creating a universe for itself is that we get to experience a cluster of movies that are not only sequels, but add on to the universe as a whole. And this has completely hurt the Transformers movies. The textbook Civilization, Past and Present by T. Walter Walbank, Alistair M. Taylor, and Nels M. Bailke states, "In the struggle for survival, the fittest win out at the expense of their rivals because they succeed in adapting themselves best to their environment. Evolution is key in all forms. Obviously, life being one of them, animals compete for mates as well as resources, and the most formidable animal is the one that takes the proverbial cake. And this translates to us and our natural consumerism. Our brains are hardwired for novelty or new things. Studies around the brain's reaction to novelty have suggested increased dopamine levels in the context of novelty. So the brain reacts to novelty by releasing dopamine, which makes us want to go exploring in search of a reward. We as a species want to go out and seek new things, all in pursuit of novelty. And movies have to fabricate new storylines and events to keep the audience intrigued. One of the reasons why Marvel does so well, and it's not because it at times feels like it's playing safe or not taking risks, but that's for another video, it's because of how each movie, while thematically similar, is developed and presented in different ways, utilizing different genres attempting to tread new ground. Transformers movies are not doing this. Take Craig Charles, for example, once said, "It's evolve or die, really. You have to evolve. You have to move on, otherwise it just becomes stagnant. And a movie that is stagnant is not a movie people want to see." Transformers movies have become almost lethargic, each movie treading the same ground, with the same juvenile humor and ridiculous explosions that have become the norm. And that's the problem. The norm. Every time you go into a Michael Bay Transformers film, you know what you're going to expect. You'll expect to see action, more action, but without real consequence. You cannot mourn a character that has been killed because that character has barely appeared in the film for more than 10 minutes. No, scratch that, 5 minutes. To make matters worse, in the last night, the storyline reached a level of confusing that is almost inexplicable. But of course, what do you expect? It's a Michael Bay Transformers film. Die-hard fans of Transformers lore have even stated that they wanted more out of this movie, but of course, it's a Michael Bay Transformers film, so they approached the movie differently. Not as a film, but a mind-numbing experience in which one barely has to think to enjoy.
Exposition, and then big action. I'm talking about big action, okay? And I think that Michael Bay has ran out of his bag of tricks, so he's just really digging deep into like leftover tricks from previous films. Even in the big battle, I was watching it like this. Like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. And I want to just say that this film is complete corporate, commercialized Hollywood. That's what it is. This film was made to sell toys. This film was made to showcase cars. And not much more than that.
And audiences have reached their tipping point. They've realized that this franchise is not a Fast and Furious franchise. It's not a franchise that, while not being masterful, tries to reinvent itself and one-up itself with every installment. No, Transformers is a film series that has reached a new level of monotony. When audiences go to see films, they don't necessarily want to watch masterpieces. They go in to enjoy themselves and have a good time. And that's something that is getting harder and harder to do with Transformers films. Because we've seen it all before. What Dreamworks has to do now is not interfere with Travis Knight's vision of a Bumblebee spin-off, which he stated will be reminiscent of the Iron Giant. Instead, focus on crafting good, compelling stories with heart. A brand with as much lore as the Transformers easily has plenty of movies that it can still create. And these are films that people can flock to see. That is, if each movie can evolve significantly enough to be able to compete.
Hey everybody, thank you very much for watching the video. I appreciate all the support you guys give, all the likes you give, and if you really do like this video, of course, give it a like. You can subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and those who are subscribed, I appreciate you, you're awesome, and if you haven't, please click the notification bell if you want to, if you really want to, it's not a big deal. Another thing I wanted to talk about is that I will be doing a transition to college soon, so if you can donate to my GoFundMe campaign to help me out a little bit, that would be great. But as of right now, due to that transition, I might make a lot less videos for the time being, because that's, it's a lot, So thank you very much for coming to the table, and I will see you guys next time, hopefully soon.